Hello, Libra. Welcome to your June creative forecast. So, we are diving right in here. There's a lot of great stuff happening this month. So, kicking things off, we have the Saturn retrograde on June 4th. Great time to take a look at different traditions that we have, systems, structures, ways that we're fitting into them, and asking ourselves meaningful questions about whether or not it's working for us anymore, right? So, that is going to be really important for us to do. And this is also about rules and restrictions. Some people feel that the retrograde, specifically with Saturn, is more of a restrictive energy, but I find that the retrogrades are really important for us to reflect on restrictions, and things will probably come up in that energy that just are a natural facilitator of that. So it's just about being flexible with the energy. You may also see my darling fur child joining here. She was being very adorable this morning and did not really want to leave, but I had to do this. So hence she has her backpack here, and she's hanging out. Yes, that's her backpack. I had one and she kept taking it, so I got her own, and thankfully she liked it. So, right? Yes. So after June 4th, we then have the full moon in Sagittarius on June 14th, which is going to be a time of a sort of expansion of what does matter. I think that's where we're going to see, we're going to find opportunities to really embody the philosophies that we want to take with us and the big picture things. And I think it's going to infuse some optimism, some much needed optimism into these different retrograde reflections and processes, right? So then we're going to be into the Neptune retrograde on June 28th, which is another great time to reflect. These are reflection periods, right? Forward movement, but also reflection. And it's going to be reflecting on illusions. And she's not actually eating the plant. She just scratches her face on it just so that you can see her little squishy ways there. Yeah. Yeah. But so it's going to be a time of reflecting on illusions. And I think it's for you, Libra, what I'm getting is that it's going to be a way of reflecting on the things that you've let feed you and the things that have taken away from you. So it's this kind of balance in that way. Yeah, so there's going to be a lot going on. And then this is all sort of kicked off by the new moon in Gemini on May 30th. And for the readings for June, what I found was this thematic meditative imagery coming through of photosynthetic dreaming, where we're sort of dreaming ourselves to life through these different processes that we engage in. And taking these very raw energies of, the sun, water, and carbon dioxide, and then transforming it and transmuting it internally. And with these retrogrades, I feel like it was I felt like it was really a message from the earth and spirit as well together, just looking to how nature is mirroring these things back to us right now, seasonally speaking. But it was for you, what came to mind when I was, going more granular with my meditation was this image of particulate matter in the atmosphere, from things like forest fires or, pollution and things like that. And the ways that photosynthesis actually synthesizes them and becomes food and can become a tenderness. So I think of tenderness in terms of sweetness, and the plants produce glucose through photosynthesis. So it's almost like a thriving for you through this transmuting process. And I do get it as a transmuting process for you specifically, Libra. So we're going to see where the cards take us. But so let's dive in. Let's do this. So I would like to invite the angels, my guardian angels, my spirit guides, protectors, teachers, and their healing energy to this space. And I ask that it is a safe and brave space that allows for the fullest expression of our light, humanity, ascension, and healing. I am chuckling because I don't know what her face is like that for. You were really in that prayer, weren't you? You were feeling it. Okay. The call, honor the whisper of your soul. Honor the whisper of your soul. Divine discernment. I think Leo just had that one. Divine discernment. Interesting. Yeah, I feel like there's something that's going to be as gentle and as quiet as this sort of particulate matter being transformed into something different within you, Libra. Like, I don't think it's going to be very loud. I think it's going to be very subtle in June, and I think it's going to help you to take on projects, relationship, issues or concerns or challenges, and you're going to be able to work with them really well. But it's just remembering that you don't really have to do anything about the particulate matter. Who you are transforms it and changes it into something different. But I feel like it's important to remember that if you are upset with the particulate matter outside of you, it won't change. It's you that changes it and turns it into something else by virtue of who you are. So the more that you are yourself, the more that that process benefits you and others at the same time. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so Spirit, what messages do you have for Libra, please? It's a very air meditation, but it came to me yesterday. Last summer, I think it was. Yeah, last summer, I was near Algonquin Park in Ontario. I was at, my friends and I got a cottage up there, or it was more like a chalet. Oh my God. It was ridiculous, but amazing at the same time. And we were up there, and for the last day that we were there were some fires in northern Ontario that were filtering down. So they were causing this really weird hue in the sky. When there's smoke from fires and things like that, it absolutely changes the coloration and texture of the sky at sunset, and it just makes it look like you're on Mars or something like that. It's disconcerting but beautiful. And I feel like there's something about the process that of you taking that sort of particulate matter and turning it into something, because ultimately that smoke can be like food for plants, right? It can definitely be like food for you. So I'm going to take this from the top because that popped out. So this is the 8 of Pentacles. So it's almost like the energy that you're grounding is this, like, whatever, something's taking a long time, or there's like a long-term investment that you're needing to ground. And I feel like this, I got big chills on that one. This is like the smoke that you're turning into something else. This 8 of Pentacles, there's something, it's like, something's been burning for a while maybe, and you can't really see the fire, but you can see the smoke first, right? And like at one point, the smoke from the fires in BC stretched all the way across Canada to Ontario, and across even further because it caught the jet stream. And it's like, it's kind of like that. Like there might be something that's distant, or there's something in a timeline on its way, or something along those lines. And you can tell by the smoke. And right now, the long-term investment, the role that you need to play with your energy is integrating the coming of something, and understanding that the time in between, that gap, it's like the sacred gaps, the liminal space, is really about you being able to fuel yourself through this and for this. Yeah. Temperance, Sagittarius energy. That's I think that there's a sense of balance that's growing here for you. I'm hearing a little bit of everything you need and the glass half full. A little bit of everything you need and the glass half full. It could be something to do with the Sagittarius full moon, because this is the position of like what's growing, what's coming, what's being cultivated in your energy. And I'm getting that there's a sense of balance. So we have the 5 of Swords in the block. And what came to mind was the things you're not telling yourself, or the things that you're not willing yourself to believe. You could also have Sagittarian placements, or placements of, if you have Libran energy in the 9th house, that can apply as well. You can see my cat's hair flying. I apologize. Oh my gosh. She's so furry. You smell? In the Leo reading, she was sniffing the decks, and that's how she was clearing them. So, my little helper. So the 5 of Swords here, though, going back to this, in terms of a block, I'm getting that there's a way that there's like truths that you are trying to tell yourself, or that you weren't telling yourself. There's a new approach you need to take to solving conflict here. And I think that the balancing internal of your internal energies, and just, it's almost like making peace with the smoke before the fire arrives, or something along those lines. Making peace with that through this energetic integrative process is really going to be helpful to you. Because again, like, your energy isn't loud this month. It's like whispers. You're getting whispers of energy here. It could also be a call to just make sure that you're taking care of the air quality of your space as well, in terms of having plants, or, with pollen and it being spring, sometimes that can be rough for folks. So it's like taking care of that as well, but a new approach to solving conflict. And then, wow, that's beautiful. So this is the Queen of Wands. So this is like a lot of Sagittarian energy, but also just fire energy in general, which is a good blend because it's like momentum and movement, right? And this is where we see like it's almost like the conflict is like the smoke, and then we see the fire itself here in the Queen of Wands. And this is sort of how you're turning things into an oxygen for yourself, and how the collective benefits from that process as well. And it's also your sweetness, like the tenderness that comes from this month for you. So we have the Eight of Pentacles, Temperance. I feel like there's a way that you are bringing yourself back into balance. And I think that that's the growth. Like, sometimes we feel that in order to address something, it needs to be this thing. But what this thing represents is actually the thing, if that makes sense. Like, for example, I can set a goal. I can have a goal for something that I want to achieve or do. And it's not the goal itself that matters as much as the way it will make me feel when it gets there, or here, or whatever, right? So instead of focusing on the goal and gripping to that and getting super attached, focus on cultivating the feeling of that through acting as if, or segment intending, which is an Abraham Hicks technique from Ask and It Is Given, right? So do those things to cultivate that feeling, because then you will become a match to what it is that you want. And that may look completely different than the goal you had set, but you're doing the thing to recognize these sort of directional shifts, right? These directional shifts. But I think that the block is letting there be a different approach to solving conflict, and that could be conflicting feelings within you. That can be conflicting priorities. That can be conflicting people in your life. Like, and this doesn't just mean like conflict, people who are bringing conflict, right? Because we first have to resonate with that somewhere for it to land in our lives in a way that makes it heavy for us. Right. And we have to do that work to go within and make sure that we're taking responsibility for ourselves. So I think this is, maybe I'm hearing conflicting priorities. Maybe there might be something about that, Libra. But I think that what this is this beautiful, like, nourished, connected to emotions, because queens are, in terms of elements, queens are the waters of whatever the suit they're in is. So water of fire. If it's a Queen of Cups, it's a water of water. If it's a Queen of Swords, it's a water of air. So there's like a water element underlying this. So it's like a nourishment where the fire can't really get out of control. So it's almost like remember how I talked about how it's like seeing the smoke, and then we know the fire is there by virtue of that, but then we're calling the rest of it to us. Well, I get the impression that this is like, this is the recognition of, it's like the recognition of the fire, but I think it's coming from within you. So you're realizing, and it might have been something that you were nervous about, like, passions running away with you and things like that. But I think that there's a way that you're channeling this into something really constructive, to rebuild and to build something. Yeah. Okay, so let's clarify these messages for you, my wonderful Libra pals. And it may be a passion. It might not be passions running away with you, but it could be this sense of like, it could be this sense of, I'm hearing liftoff. Like there's something about something taking off or being successful that you might be nervous about. And it's like this Five of Swords is like, you being in the energy of how it hadn't worked before. So, when it comes to this new approach to solving conflicts, it's like, instead of seeing it as like losses that are informing your need to stick to or adhere to that specific resolution style, this is an invitation to integrate different lessons of loss in ways that allow you to choose something new, right? Because I feel like swords are thoughts, but they're also perspectives and decisions. Hanged Man, as if that perspective and decision. But this is also Neptunian energy. So the Neptune retrograde you may find particularly important. I think that there's like, that's the illusion part. That's where we're seeing the smoke part, right? You see the smoke before you can really tell that there's the fire, the passion there. So it's almost like the smoke is indicative of something, but it can also represent a kind of fog, like a mental fog. So it's like you've been seeing this smoke, but there's been no, like, you haven't seen the fire because it's coming from within you. But then there's this way that I feel like the Neptune retrograde is going to connect you energetically. It's not something you really have to work on, the Libra. I'm getting it's just going to facilitate. So your job is not to like go overboard with work. It's just to look at what it is that needs to be cultivated and being in that energy and in that space. Yeah, and the Eight of Pentacles and the Empress on the split. Oh my gosh, and the Star and the Ace of Swords too. Wow. Okay, so Eight of Pentacles, clarifying the Eight of Pentacles is like Spirit saying, yeah, there's a long-term investment here, and there's some way that has represented the smoke to you. Like it's like you can't see very clearly because you're doing the work, but it's very fruitful. Like there's some way that this is like fuel, right? That's sorry, my nose is so itchy out of nowhere. So I'm getting that the smoke is fuel. It's carbon dioxide. That's what plants eat. So it's like, this is fueling you in some way, but if you have to take the right perspective, and you have to really focus on what's true for you about it. And this is not just a card of truth in general. This is a card of it was in and gone right again. It's not just a card of truth. It's also a card of honesty, like honesty with ourselves. I'm trying to think of how Spirit was like plunk, dropped it in, and then it's gone. It's like personal truth that we articulate, but it's also the receptivity of what's happening around us based on how in alignment we are with what's important to us and how honest we are being about what that means to us and what things mean to us truly. And it's also it's like a clear sight, like you're seeing things quite clearly here. So I think this is maybe a message about the Neptune retrograde having to do with that sort of smoky, like can't really see energy, but understanding that it's part of this integrative process. That's not just it's not just about your passion, but I feel like it's about something to do with your creative capacity and your ability to ignite that in others. The Star is here, so this is some Aquarian energy, so more air energy. You could have some Aquarius in your chart. You could be dealing with an Aquarius. The Empress also represents Venus energy, so this could have something to do with love or relationships. Long-term, seventh house is Venus. So seventh house is like long-term contracts, long-term or long-standing relationships. It's like finding the hope and truth in these long-term commitments that you've made, and also the long-term commitment that you've made to yourself as something that you're passionate about, or truths that you're passionate about as well, right? Temperance and the Six of Pentacles, Seven of Swords, Five of Wands, Two of Wands, and Justice. Wherever there was conflict, that this is like it's sort of the preclusion to how this is like the story of the conflict, and this is the story of how we're dealing with it, right? So I think that you're growing away from things that are imbalanced. I think that you're also growing away from things that are and you're growing out of as well. Like it's just an outgrown, it's an outgrown pattern, right? Like it's people who are really interested in conflict, not just for the sake of itself, but to win something. It leaves you in this kind of Two of Swords energy, because that's all it leaves really behind. So it's like takers, like dealing with a lot of takers. And I think as well, it's like dealing with a lot of just energy that's out to serve itself. And I think this balance is about the peace that you find when you go in within. And I think that there's a sense of optimism that you're gaining as well that's helping you to not just integrate the lessons of all of this, but plan for something that feels like a more just future for yourself, Libra. That feels like a more aligned with it's more aligned with your truth, but it's also more aligned with your energy, right? And your understanding that what you plan for, it's like future planning, right? There's an Abraham Hicks quote that says something along the lines of like, every thought you think is planning for future success or future something, or it's planning. So like, what are you planning for? Right? And it's really looking at that energy. And this is also Libran energy. So again, you're really like, and the Empress can be Libra energy too. But this is really you standing out in terms of this conflict and this conflicting, maybe priorities more. My ear was ringing slightly. I feel like you're prioritizing yourself, but you're also just prioritizing an aspect of your peace that you may not have largely prioritized or prioritized quite the same before. And peace can just mean like prioritizing aspects of yourself. It can mean prioritizing specific relationships or goals that you have. 5 of Swords, King of Wands, 4 of Swords, 7 of Wands, 3 of Wands. And then the 5 of, oh my gosh, I have to put that down. 5 of Swords, clarifying the 5 of Swords. It's like you're balancing, like maybe you felt like you having this vision and ambition wasn't enough. Maybe you having these goals wasn't enough. And so it's almost like you're healing your relationship to the achievement of something, and the belief that your achievement is something, but then your belief that you needed to fight to get it. Like you can just be in the King of Wands. You don't need to be in this 7 of Wands spinning your wheels, burning energy. Like, it's like revving an engine, like revving an engine at a stoplight. Like what's the purpose that it serves other than to tell people what your work should be telling people, right? That's really all that it should be doing. So I feel like this King of Wands energy here is you standing in that power and having the vision and letting that be enough. And just that, like that in your energy alone is really helping you to prioritize things, but it's also helping you to see conflict differently, and to understand that the ways like this, the defeats of the past don't need to inform your positive expectations of the future. And I think that's the real lesson here for you, Libra. And that's where it's like we're taking this smoke from this fire, and it could be fires that other people started by accident, right? That it's allowing you to step into this really intuitive sense of not just what's going on around you, but the I'm hearing like the best way to achieve something or to get to where you need to go and be this month. So in terms of creativity, I feel like there's a way that you're starting to see your process slightly differently. And if people come knocking with conflict or things like that, it's just you're not answering the door, right? Or if you answer the door, you don't have to let them in the house, right? You can answer through the screen door, right? You can answer through the intercom, right? So there's ways that you're understanding boundaries and integrating those better in service to your big picture creativity. And I think that that's like a healing thing. Yeah, it's like healing what's most important to you. I'm going to put that over here because I feel like this is like not just an outcome, but it's the integration of that energy. And two of cups on the bottom of the deck. The sun is here, so this is some Leo energy, as well as the King of Pentacles and the 2 of Cups, clarifying the Queen of Wands in the sort of outcome and how we're breathing life into things and giving things back. And like, I think this is a really healthy integrated fire, right? This is a healthy integrated fire. You're recognizing what you want to put your energy and effort into. And I think that when it comes to taking this sort of things that you can't really see, it's like there's a way that you're weaving magic from the ether. You're taking this like energy from the smoke and you're putting it into something that's concrete and fire. It's almost like a reversal of like you're working some magic here. Yeah, it would not shock me if the Magician came out, because it feels very magician-like. to take, it's like the energy of the smoke, and then you're making fire from the smoke instead of the other way around, right? So it's like this way that you're kind of standing a creative process on its head, but there's a way that this is something that's very it's very steady for you. There's something that you're doing this month that is creating a foundational component of your thriving. And I think in terms of soulmate energy, this could connect you with soul family. This could connect you with soulmate in terms of romance. This could also just be a deepening of a commitment that you already have to a soulmate or friend groups. And this could be, finding people at work or to work with who are really, they really shine a light on what's most important. And I think that there's ways that you're working together with them that are really, there's like sparks flying, I'm hearing. Sparks flying. Huh. Yeah, the way you're working with people, sparks flying. Like this is like super synergy, and the Fool was on the bottom. So there's like a synergetic, but also I think a symbiotic relationship where everything is working together really, really beautifully. Let me pull from the Hedge Witch's Botanical Oracle here. Oh, sorry about that. One of my stones fell. Spirit, what messages do you have for my Librans? Oh, Elder. So, ritual. Let me read to you from this. Oh, wow. Okay, so it has a lot of uses. So it's used for jam, jelly, syrup, and liquor, but it also has medicinal. It's been used medicinally to treat bronchitis, cough, upper respiratory cold infections, and fever. It has a really high antioxidant load as well, and it has a long history of use for medicinal and culinary purposes. Oh, but its hollow stems are also used to create wind instruments, pipes, and even pop guns and whistles. Very air energy. Many superstitions swirl around this tree, and it is mentioned in many early texts on magic and witchcraft. Each elder tree is believed to hold a feminine guardian spirit known as the Elder Tree Mother or Hildemore. One should not cut down the tree or take her branches without making an offering and asking for permission. To ask for permission to take wood or branches from the tree, you say on bended knee, Elder Mother, give me some of thy wood, and I will give thee some of mine when I grow into a tree, or some variation. You will know if permission is granted if the tree becomes still and silent for a moment. To protect animals and harvested crops from harm, farmers in some agricultural societies would place a cross made from elder on their cowsheds and barns. The oracle property ritual is inspired by the countless ancient traditions and rituals surrounding this tree. There are records of using an elder branch in wedding ceremonies to bind two people, rituals for seeing and communicating with the fae, and rituals for planting, harvesting, and use of the tree itself. Rituals are an important part of community building and daily life structure, enormously helpful to those who aspire to lead thoughtful and productive lives. Think about the ways personal rituals can enrich your life, whether they take the form of journaling, exercise, sacred ceremony, or something as simple as making a daily list of what you would like to accomplish. Rituals can strengthen relationships, ease tension, and provide structure in this busy and often hectic world. Definitely Saturnian energy on that with the Saturn retrograde, right? Because that is about rituals and what it is, how we nourish ourselves. And I think that's what I'm hearing right now is just catalyst for the smoke, right? Like that's a way that you're learning to really integrate and work with that energy in a powerful way. Sometimes no is the most loving response. Yeah. And I think that this is part of to me, this is, I just felt it here. It's part of that Neptune retrograde, right? No is the most loving response. And I think that there's something to do with illusions and whatnot, that you're starting to say no more, which is really, it's not only healing, but I think it's something that is helping you to come back into balance, right? Because it's not just about saying yes to everything and, being a yes person. It's about what you say no to allows you to say a more fulsome yes, right? What you say no to allows you to say a more fulsome yes. I'm going to pull one more. Releasing anger from the past sets me free from the present. Yeah, and that could be part of the smoke too that came into this particular reading. I'm going to pull from the chakra deck here and see where we go with that. Space. I have all the space that I need to flourish, grow, and express myself. I take up my space in all areas of my life. The space around me is clear, and I continue to cleanse and make sacred my space. I have space. I feel some Sagittarian energy on that. Forgiveness. I forgive myself for my imperfections, do my best, and find contentment with that. I am good enough. I recognize my hurts and nurture my inner child with all that they need. I forgive others for their preconceptions, judgments, and behaviors, trusting we are all doing our best with our current levels of awareness and patterning. I forgive. Yeah. I feel like this is a really, it's like an unassumingly important time for you right now, Libra, where there's some way that it's like, finding the other thing too that I'm getting is like finding the source of smoke so that you can tend to that fire, put it out, or do whatever you need to do with it as well. And I feel like there's so many messages about this smoke. So I'm very grateful for Spirit for it coming through in meditation. But I think that's something else as well with this forgiveness card coming out, is that like forgiveness is the process of taking the particulate matter and turning it into something tender, turning it into a sweetness, right? And it's remembering that, bitter, like, don't let life or things make you bitter. Let them make you better. As trite as that might sound, but it's very true. Like, there are so many times where things happen in life where you get knocked down, and it's not just about getting up and doing the thing again. It's about getting up and saying, wow, that was really hard. I have so much compassion for myself. And I'm doing these things to take care of myself. And I know that I won't trip on that. I won't trip on that route again. I know that I won't. Right. And even if you did, it's just, I think there's a compassion piece that needs to be brought to the fore for you in June. So Libra, this was your reading for your creative forecast for June. So thank you so much for tuning in. If this resonated, please like and subscribe. It helps me to grow the channel and just to get found in the YouTube algorithm. And I am very appreciative to be able to do this. So thank you so much for your time and energy here. So if this is where we part, though, my wonderful Librans, I hope that wherever this finds you on the time-space continuum, morning, afternoon, or night, it finds you very well and wrapped up in so much love, my friends. Take care and have a wonderful June. Bye.